Today, we are delving into an exceptional application that played a crucial role in transforming Barbara's aspirations into reality, and how it assisted the UC system admins in establishing a remarkable process, all without requiring a single line of code. Now, let's get into the creation process of this remarkable application using the user-friendly PWR Forms application. In this section, we'll explore the creation of the profile page that students can utilize to create their profile. This will explain how to create an application layout in PWR Forms. To begin, let's go to PWR Forms application first. Now click on Setup tab if it is not already selected. Now let's go to Layout Setup page and click on the New button. Once the layout is created, place the vertical tab component onto the layout and configure it by assigning a name and icon to each tab. Each section, such as contact information and test scores, can be configured similarly. There are two ways to add components in the layout. One is either drag any component from the component sidebar on left and drop it into the layout where you want to add it. While hovering over the layout, different slots will be highlighted with green color, and dropping in that slot will insert that component in that slot. This way, you know exactly where your component will be added. Another way is go to the layout and select a slot where you want to add a component. Once the slot is selected, now go to Components tab on left sidebar and select a component which you want to add. Now using either of this way, you can complete your layout. Next, add appropriate to the sections. To do that, select a tab in which you want to add a field to. Add the Forms component into the selected tab. Now just add and configure its model and set it to single record model to accept profile of the students. After adding and assigning model to added Forms component, now add fields from Model Field sidebar to tab, just like you added components. For each field whose configuration needs to be modified can be selected, and configuration can be changed on the right in Attributes sidebar. For example, fields like legal first name and legal last name should appear only when a different legal name is checked. To achieve this, select the field legal first name and now go to Attributes sidebar and change visibility attribute to add a criteria is different legal name is true. Making this configuration change will ensure that this field visible only when the checkbox is different legal name is checked. Repeat this process of adding and configuring fields for sections like citizenship and residency and contact information. Let us now go to another component. That is repeater. We need to capture multiple test scores of the candidate. To get that done, first add the repeater component to the Test Scores tab and configure its model to set multi-record model to accept multiple scores. Let's add fields to this form in the repeater, just like any other form. In the current task, we need to use the repeater to save multiple test score records. To achieve this, we must create a blank or empty record. This empty record will be displayed within the repeater, allowing us to add values from multiple test scores. Create a single record model from the same object that we are using for the repeater from the left-hand sidebar of Model section. Navigate to the Workflow section and click on the plus button to create a new workflow and provide a suitable name for the workflow, such as Create an Empty Record. Add the assignment workflow action from the sidebar to the workflow space. Perform an assignment by appending the single record model to the repeater model. By following these steps, we ensure that we have added an empty record that will be used to create test scores using the repeater. Let's now proceed to create the workflows such as loop workflow that will be utilized to create a new test scores record. Create a new workflow with a suitable name such as Create Test Scores. Add the assignment action. In this assignment action, select the student field from the test score model. Use the operator set to assign the student's record ID from the student model. Add the Update Record action. Select the test scores model which is used in the assignment while assigning the student field. Now, connect the assignment action with the update record action using a connector, as demonstrated. This process enables the assignment of the test scores submitted by the student to their respective profile. By utilizing the update record action, the test scores can then be successfully saved. Similarly, after constructing the loop workflow, we've successfully implemented the Save Applicant Record workflow. Start by implementing the decision action to verify profile existence. Proceed with the Create Record action, utilizing the student model to craft the student profile. Next, incorporate the loop action, specifying the source type as Modal. Choose the relevant model associated with the repeater component from the source model options. In the loop action, integrate the previously generated Create Test Score workflow from the Workflow section. Configure the looping variable source type by selecting the model employed in the assignment action of the Create Test Score workflow. This workflow is designed to ensure a sequential process. Initially, it creates the student profile. Subsequently, utilizing the loop, it proceeds to generate multiple test scores for their corresponding student profiles seamlessly. Now, in the next step, we focus on creating an edit profile page that allows students to correct any inaccuracies in their profiles. By cloning the applicant page, you can save time and effort while ensuring all workflows remain intact. Now, let's create the My Application section in the applicant page using intuitive drag and drop action, with workflows aligned as demonstrated, which will allow students to maintain the application for which they have applied. Now, let's explore how the new application page is constructed. This layout empowers students to apply to different universities and courses effortlessly. To achieve this, add the page header component, label it as New Application, and add the form component within it. Configure the form using the application object model, setting fields and conditional field visibility through the attribute section. Similar to the applicant page, the repeater component is employed for multiple applications. By creating and adding the sections, such as for universities and courses, you can use the repeater to add multiple forms. Just as in the preceding steps, we've developed distinct workflows such as the loop workflow and save application. Additionally, these forms contain the workflows that contain actions like generating an empty record to facilitate the addition of multiple applications and subsequently submitting those applications. In the next step, we are now creating a layout for approvers to review applications. By adding the table component, you can display a list of applications for review, using the appropriate object record model app. Using the model criteria, you can configure the system to display only those applications to the approver for which he or she holds the role of an approver. This ensures that the approver can exclusively view and manage applications that fall under their jurisdiction. Now, in the next step, the application review page showcases submitted applications for student review. Let's create by adding up the page header with actions like reject and raise discrepancy. You can facilitate a smooth process. Add the form component and set up the application object record model to display application data. Similarly, create sections like personal information, citizenship and residency, and contact information, each containing corresponding forms. Employ actions for discrepancies and reviews. Continuing with the same approach, in this phase, let's develop the necessary workflows to facilitate specific actions. For instance, let's establish and create the reject application workflow, which will serve the purpose of rejecting an application when the approver selects the reject action. Using a similar methodology, you can proceed to build workflows for accept application and discrepancy in personal information, ensuring consistency in the process. This step gets you into the creation of a form for raising discrepancies in various sections. With checkbox fields and text areas, this form streamlines the process. Set up a record layout for the student object and assign workflows to a custom send action. Following the pattern, you can create layouts specifically for raising discrepancies in the personal information and contact and citizenship sections. Configure these layouts similarly and assign the relevant workflows. Now, upon completing all the necessary steps, let's now connect all the layouts with the push modal workflow action. This action is employed to the display of other layouts when specific actions are undertaken. Start by clicking on the My Application section. For instance, within the Applicant Pages My Application section, we've established a Apply action. Now, our next step is to integrate the push modal workflow for this action. Start by clicking on the My Application section. Once you click, you will notice the Event section on the right-hand side, positioned below the Attribute section. Upon accessing the Event section, you will find the Apply action within the list of options. Click on this Apply Action section. In the ensuing drop-down menu, select the Push Modal Workflow. A window will appear upon clicking the gear icon. For this specific task, opt for the new application layout. By doing so, students will be able to apply for multiple courses and universities whenever they initiate the Apply action. Using a comparable methodology within the applications to approve layout, you can allocate the review action and numerous others, employing this approach to accommodate different functionalities. And there you have it. We've covered all the essential steps for configuring the PWR UC application. Stay tuned for more exciting insights and tutorials